I just popped in for a bit because I'm having a good hair day. No, I'm kidding.
I'm just gonna go over the shooting schedule thing real quick, since that's like the quickest. I wasn't able to finish mine, so I'm just gonna show you guys like an example one. It's a little blurry because it was like a smaller one, but here's what it would look like. You kind of just do like what's the scene number is. You do whether it's interior or exterior. Then you do like what the scene heading is, where it takes place, and you kind of give it a little bit of a description. Because if you have, like you can see here on the top, it's Stuart's car, and then several down, it's Stuart's car again, but it's different scenes. So you always want to put like.
I've never heard of a strip board.
A strip board?
Yeah, that's what it says.
Yeah, they showed like it's like a board up on a. They don't really use it anymore because of software and stuff, but it was like a board they would hang up, and they'd have like all the scenes, and they'd have them different colors.
It's like a shot list in some way. It's like a shot list a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's what they would like take and turn into one of these basically. But now with software, you can kind of just skip that step and go right into it.
Okay, I thought that was an American thing.
Yeah, so then like you have Stuart's car, and you have like Stuart tunes his guitar, waiting for Claire, and then he's doing something else the next scene. So you just want to have that separated. You say what you're doing, you say whether it's day or night, how many of the cast is in it, the location of it, how many pages it is, and the estimated shooting time. So once you really start shooting more, you'll get more familiar with how long it's probably going to take. But for now, you kind of just have to guess like how long we think it's all going to take, and then make a day of shooting and say when the end of the day will be and how long the whole day will take. So they put together all this and said it will take about 9 hours to do the first day, and then about same amount of time to do the next day. So you always want to do it like probably like 8 hours, schedule 8 hours or something like that, and try to make sure that you're shooting all the scenes that you need to shoot probably in order.
There's a really cool app, I forget the name right now, we were looking at it, and it basically helps you stay on track of everything, and it lets you know when you're like even 2 minutes off schedule.
It was called Shot Lister. I think there was a video on it.
It was really good.
I look up
shot. Very expensive, but really good.
Can I ask for your estimate? What's easier to use in film, iPhone or an Android? Like
for film, there's way more iOS filming apps. Like when we're reading the handbook, the filmmaking handbook, almost all of like when they give you the list of the filmmaking apps, they give you a bunch that are exclusive to iOS. So I don't know if it's just that handbook or not, but I do know that a lot of people do editing on their MacBooks or on their iMacs. So they tend to have apps that integrate with their phone as well, just in case they're like on the road.
But here's the thing, she was talking about Shot Lister, and it has what time you expect it to be on. It has the same information, but what the thing does is it'll you can change it within the app while you're on the shooting day. And if you put it in live mode, it lets you track it as you go, so you can stay on schedule. And this will usually be used for the assistant director or the production manager. They'll use these kinds of things, and they're the ones keeping everybody on schedule. So if something they made said that it'll take 40 minutes to do this scene, and it ends up only taking 20 minutes, the app will keep track of it and say that they're 20 minutes ahead. So they'll be 20 minutes ahead, and then they'll either integrate that into the future scenes because something might take longer, or they might just say, oh, well, this is going by a lot quicker than I thought, so we can actually add in another scene, and they'll add in another shot or two into the day of shots to get done.
That's
and
cool.
Keeps track of everything. And also tells you if you're behind, and it everything becomes red if you're behind.
That's usually that happens probably often, right? They're always behind.
What's the score? Like, is this for phone or is this what?
They have it for phone and for computer. I think they have it for
it's free on iOS except for the pro version.
I think there's like a pro version that costs money, but then there's like on the Oh, let me go.
On the iMac, it's like $40 last I checked.
Eh.
But just to be clear, like I don't know if Android has more because I know that they have more not free, they have more open sourced. So you can get more open sourced apps, and you probably can get more free apps because a lot of apps that are paid on iOS are not paid on Android. But
Yeah,
as
so it's
far
on
as
iOS, Mac OS, or Android.
yeah, but as far as
People
like
switch to
filmmaking
iPhone.
goes, we've just seen a lot of exclusive to iOS ones just because everyone edits with the ecosystem and all that.
Oh, and there's the app. They're kind of like showing how it goes through it.
I'm definitely going to switch to an iPhone now. 'Cause it seems
Yeah,
it's more
the
film-friendly.
integration is a lot better as well. But like for you to work, if you're busy working on a project on your MacBook, for example, you can go on your phone and you can go from your phone. You can respond to messages and emails. That's why a lot of people use iOS for businesses and stuff. It's just the integration is hard to compare to.
Seeing this up there saying they're 15 minutes ahead now that it turned green, and the shot's 2 hours ahead. It probably wouldn't happen, but not if you actually know what you're doing. But it's just to keep track of everything and keep everyone on the same page, and to know.
Cool.
And sometimes they'll have to take out scenes from the day, like that they thought they'd be able to shoot. Like if they're 25 minutes behind, like now, on the little app, then they would probably have to take out a scene that they think is going to take about 25 minutes just to stay on schedule.
And they can switch it around too.
Yep,
Which
and
is
you can like
nice.
take it, switch it around, and shoot a different scene, or even add in new ones if you feel like you can get a different shot that you didn't think you would earlier.
We'll let you guys know if we find any better ones. So far, this is the most complete that we found. I also have a list of, for those of you that don't have the filmmaking handbook, they have a list in each chapter of the best apps for each individual thing. So I have like on my phone, in my notes. Oh, that's another good thing about iPhones. Their notes and their reminders are awesome. Sorry, not trying to be a seller here, but like on my notes, I have a list of all the apps for every part we've seen so far. So if you guys, I can maybe post that in the group. There's
Awesome.
like apps for editing,
Yeah, that
apps
was it for that.
for storyboarding, apps for filmmakers to like get the right shot or something like that.
Of course, there is that doesn't surprise me just because people are like, hey, we could create something to make things better. Let's make an app for it.
And now it's
Technology.
so, and now it's so much easier.
Like your mask, Sarah. Very tigery.
Thanks.
Are you in school or something, or?
I'm at work.
Yeah.
It's a first aid job, so I can multitask while there's no patients. I had one today.
This is how dedicated she is to this group.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Right?
But yeah, no, that's the shooting schedule. Does anyone have any questions about it? Pretty much just kind of explains itself, but I thought it was just really cool and a really good tool to know how to use in case you are the director / whatever, because you're on a small production. So,
A production assistant or someone that's like helping in charge of not production assistant.
or at least so whenever you're starting out, like if your assistant director is doing what they're supposed to, because if they're doing that or not, creating that schedule.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I'm 90% getting an iPhone now.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
I've been fighting that all day to figure out what to get and what would be useful for film. So,
was anyone able to
11th
watch
on
the videos about like writing on a budget?
I've seen videos in the past, but I didn't see the ones you sent.
So basically, they were all kind of saying the same thing, which is good because then I know it's like, okay, this is actually what it is. Most of them were just saying like, if you're trying to write for a budget, since we don't really have a budget, or if you have like a micro budget, always look at what you have available already. Like if you have a friend that has like a parent that owns maybe a pizza store or something, and they'll let you shoot there. That's something you want to be aware of when you're making your screenplay, so that you can write around the location, or you write around the resource that you already have.
or
So-
write a list of all your locations available,
Yeah, honey, this is-
and then have them on standby whenever you write a script.
yeah. Write it all down, have an idea of like what props you have or what locations or cast members or anything like that, anything that you already know that you can get access to. That way you can write a story around it and make it easier to have more production value basically for your script instead of
True.
writing whatever you want and then being like,
You don't want to
"Okay,
make
do
shit to
it."
store in your house.
Yeah.
Well, I also think that if you write whatever you want off the top, you can always go back and edit the scene for the location. If that's, it depends on, sometimes it's easier to write with a preconceived location, and sometimes it's easier to just write and then in the second draft be like, okay, how can I make this more realistic to shoot?
And you
Right.
can
So
also
just two different styles of, huh?
You can also descript the locations when you have them.
Yeah,
Or
but
you-
one tip that people kept giving us is like, if you're writing for a micro budget, don't write at first like the way you want it and then try to adapt it, because that's going to be a lot harder. You're going to have to remove a lot of stuff. Like if you're writing with that micro budget, write it with that micro budget in mind,
No,
because
that's what I mean.
otherwise it's just going to be no. I was talking about what Sarah said about like coming back and then editing it.
Yeah.
That's not always possible, and sometimes that's way harder and it takes way more time and way more work. So if you know that you're going to write this, for example, like we're going to be working, our next script will be writing for a budget, so you're going to have to think of ways to write that are feasible, you know, and maybe we'll like give some semblance of a budget to like make it a little more interesting, or I don't know, we'll see how we decide to do that. But but
Yeah.
that is a good thing to have in mind. Like, okay, I can't like write it the way I want it and then change it, because I don't know what if something I have in mind is not possible later. So
One
having
of the
those,
examples they gave was that they had like 3 or 5 characters in their thing and they were realizing they're not going to be able to pay that many people. So they ended up having to take out a character, replacing all the lines they felt like they really needed to other characters in the script. And then some of the jokes and some of the things that happened later on in the script didn't work because they were belonging to one character and it didn't work in the way that they had to remake it. So they had to take out a bunch of stuff and figure out how to rework it all in, and it took like way extra time. So they were saying try to know the budget beforehand so that you can just, you know, write the first time you don't have to go back and change the whole thing basically.
Why don't you just give us each a list of stuff like that we have, like we each have, like each different locations and stuff like that. Just almost like we have that location available. You have it, but you give us each something to work with around.
Okay.
yeah, we might.
I was just gonna let you guys do, like, for this first time, I was just gonna let us all do what we each have individually.
Okay.
Just because like we don't know how many people's gonna be able to go all the way out to wherever.
Yeah,
No,
what
that's
I was
fine.
thinking
I
was
thought it
give
was
a
all
budget, like,
imagination,
okay, you guys have $200 or this kind of thing. That was what I was thinking, just
Yeah,
to
and
make
then-
it more.
and then give 3 locations that we have to incorporate in the script.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the whole
we can do
location
something like
thing, I
that.
think it depends on everyone because people live in different places and have different things. Maybe we'll give like a broad thing, like a living room or
No,
something
like
like
a
that.
hairdress, like
Or
a
an office
hairdresser, or
space or whatever. Because you can
Yeah.
always deck it out
Yeah.
with, the thing is with like, you could take any blank room, and if you have access to like enough props, then bada bing, bada boom. And
Yeah.
just angle it in the right direction, you know what I mean? Like cheat it.
Yeah,
like
the
how I
camera
can
make it
turn my-
seem like it's the place. Even if
I
Yeah.
can
it's
turn my living room into a store at this
Exactly.
point.
Right. Yeah.
Illusions.
Yeah, but then you have
Conclusions.
to have access to all that stuff. So you have to think about that too.
True,
I
that's
guess if you
true.
brought in like your whole house into one room, you can make it be like a storage room, but you have to remember you have to bring it all back.
Yeah,
No, but
that's
I
true.
thought it was just writing a script. We're not actually shooting it, so that's why I meant just imaginary script locations.
Oh, well, because like I don't know, I want to write ones that I can actually make eventually.
Yep.
So that's why
Well,
I'm
I'm-
just saying like what we actually have available, make it easiest. Think about a
That's true.
budget.
Because each
I
of
think-
us have different things that are available to us, like something that you guys would have near you isn't like the same as we would have maybe. that kind of thing.
Like whoever's in New York, you guys have Central Park that you might be able to shoot at. I don't know how they work.
True, but
Is
you
it
never
a-
know who might respond to, like, say you needed something. You never know who would be willing to help out too. So there's always possibilities if you really want to do something, and it's just like a little
Yeah.
tricky. Balance
Yeah.
though, definitely balance. You don't want to do too much of that.
Yeah, you don't
Yeah,
want to
the
try
good
to
thing
rely
is-
too much on other people when you don't, especially like that, when you don't really know if they're even gonna give it to you or not,
Yeah.
or if anyone has it. Like if you need a
I feel like
specific
it's also
thing.
good to like know the laws and know like what is, you know, permitted and where it's allowed and all that other stuff. Because I feel like there might be some public spaces that are private and private spaces that are public and all this other stuff. And like that probably works with legislation. I don't know. And maybe you
Yeah,
could like make
permits
things
and all
work
that.
that you wouldn't
I think
expect.
didn't they just do like that national parks, they don't have to have a permit for small crews. I think they just
Sick.
I think
I
they
could,
did,
that
they
could
did
be.
something
Don't
like
don't
that, like,
quote
in
him
the
on
last
that.
week.
I don't know if that's
But
true.
that's all-
Don't quote him on
I'm
that.
not sure
Say
if
you
that's it.
wanted, like-
I've heard about it. I don't know. I haven't looked into it yet, but I
Yeah.
heard about it from some
Um,
people and I thought that was
Be
cool.
One
microscale.
thing that we thought was funny was we had our
There's
wedding
cameras
shoot,
like
and
that.
I say that very lightly, quote unquote. A friend helped us do it, but we had our wedding shoot at Maymont Park, and they charge like I think it's $30 for 2 hours or something like that.
But that's a private place.
And
So that
yes,
was
I know, but listen, I'm giving an example. I'm saying is they have a lot of people shoot weddings there as well, or like shoot videos or whatever. And
$30.
no, it's probably more expensive to actually shoot a wedding, but I'm saying like I just
That's
remember us
pretty good.
being there, walking around. It was a gorgeous park.
That's
It was
funny.
huge. We were walking around and it was more than 2 hours. And we were like, huh, no one's asking any questions. No one's asking for a permit. No one, we could have just done this thing for free. Like,
yeah.
and just
You kinda
left when we
can,
got
like,
caught.
The thing is though, it's just like it depends, like
It depends on
what-
how
how creative-
high budget your equipment
yeah,
is.
and how
exactly.
creative you are. Because like here's the
And-
thing, like my mom, she's so creative. We've done so many things in our life on like broke budget.
And on the opposite end of that, we were freaking in Richmond, like in the park in Richmond, and it was open and no one was there. And out of nowhere, there was this one guy yelling at us saying it was private property because my friend was like, I was taking some
Richmond-
pictures for my friend. So you never know. Like you really never know.
It's true.
Richmond
Some
what?
people get uptight.
Yeah. And
Richmond,
Raphael, to
Virginia.
answer your
Uh,
comment, yeah, they're not that great, but they are easier for certain things, which is why we were talking about because he was saying iPhones aren't that great. And I was like, yeah, they have definitely a lot of drawbacks. I do miss a lot of things about my Android, but there are some things that make it that are easier, especially for certain apps.
Anyway, so another thing they were talking about was what Priscilla just mentioned was defining the total budget you have for it. So like that would be like, how much money do I actually have to spend on this thing? Do you have $1,000? Do you have 500? You need to know like how much you have so that whenever you're doing something like Sarah was saying, you know how much above what you think it's going to cost you can go, because you're like, oh well, that might cost like a $50, but I have that, I can do that. So you want to set yourself a budget beforehand when you're on a micro budget, so you're not
That's
just
true. And then also, I guess find out if you can get funding for it too. So I've seen people do that.
right. Yeah.
You
And if
can do
we
that.
need any
I'm not very
guerrilla
good at that, but-
experience,
Right. I'm just talking about the stuff where it's like if you're writing for yourself and you don't feel like you're going to be able to get funding, then this is the way, these are the
True.
tips that they give for like,
I would just get a camera and like go to a location and just try to shoot it before anyone notices and not include any names. Kidding, yeah.
The smaller the
Just
crew,
like
the
for a
better,
scene.
usually. If you
Don't
really
get a-
want to do that, you do with a skeleton crew.
Oh, for one, if you think you're gonna have anything more than a skeleton crew on that,
I was gonna say if you need any tips on guerrilla
it's like
cr-
5
on
people.
guerrilla filmmaking, apparently James has done a few.
I've done a few as well, so
guerrilla filmmaking or skeleton crews. Yeah, they definitely don't have much.
I just
They
did
kinda
that like 4 weeks ago. I just
James
did
can
that.
teach you how to run, where to hide from the police in New York.
Yeah, exactly. Shit.
Just be a
Shit,
tourist
shit.
and have a phone, film with on a phone.
Yeah, well, here's the
There's some
thing. Like,
tools
what's
here.
you just say it's for student film because it kind of is. You're not really. it
Yeah,
is
but
for
then they
student.
ask which
Oh, cool.
college, and then they ask for a
IDU.
paper proving it, because I've heard of that
Student ID.
happening.
Yeah, they
It
do. ask
can
that.
happen. You just say you don't have it on you.
Yeah, and
Mm.
then they ask you to leave.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's
Then they
exactly.
can
it.
take
I
all your
highly
equipment.
recommend not
They can
to walk up
confiscate
to
all
a
your
French
equipment,
tourist
so
with a
that's
bloody
something else
knife.
too.
Oh yeah, no one would do
Yeah,
I don't know.
not the French tourists. Every other type of tourist, just not the
that.
French.
Okay, every
James highly
no,
recommends
like Sam
not
said,
walking
okay,
up to
just
French
the French.
tourists with a bloody knife,
Everybody else
Yeah.
is fine, just
I
not the
thought that
French.
was a
They'll
good
freak
idea.
out on you.
especially if you don't speak French.
Yeah, I know.
So the other
Reminds
thing,
me of my father.
another thing they said is, well, it's kind of on the same hand, but it's like limit locations, limit the cast, and create dynamic characters for your script. You know, less locations means it's easier to shoot, cheaper. You know, you don't have to go and move all your equipment and set up, reset up, all that. Less
Green screen.
cast, there's less stuff to cover, less people
True, but I find
in the scene.
less
What?
cast, but you still need enough cast.
But you can make a short film, but with like 1 or 2 people. So you don't need, like, if you can, try to write as few as you can. That's what they're saying.
Well, technically, this is a joke, just for anyone watching, this is a joke. But if you have more places to shoot, then it's harder to catch you. So, I mean, guerrilla filmmaking, it's kind of easier.
That's what I'm saying. You just get in and get out as fast
Well,
as
as long as
possible,
those
and you're
shoots
under
are
the
quick,
gun.
if those shoots
Yeah,
are
exactly.
like
Well,
complex,
yeah, if you're just
things,
grabbing the camera, running and gunning. then
yeah,
That's what I'm
then
You
you're
saying.
just want it
I
to
mean,
look
like
like
within
that.
the 100-minute script, you
Don't
know,
forget about green
Exactly.
screen.
have like each page, new
Green screen,
location. That's how you do it. There you go.
yeah,
And then
tons
read
of
those-
short scenes, like Raphael said. They gotta be short and to the point. Okay, we did it. 5 minutes. Go, go, go.
Okay, it depends too. Like, so you got the
You gotta-
majority in your house, or like in a forest area where it's like you're probably not gonna get caught because it's a forest. You just go to a secluded place. Like, depends on like what you're shooting. If you need a quick snap of
Forest
something in the
shooting
city,
is so freaking hard, though. If you are shooting with a lot
But
of
the
trees
thing
around
about it
you,
is, if you want it to look good and you want it to look professional, it's going to take time to set up. And the thing about less locations is not just about the locations. It's also about all the people that need to go to there. They have to set
Oh, I
up. They
agree.
have to. It's
Right,
like another
so-
day of shooting added to the
So
schedule.
you should also have like money set aside to pay for like costumes and camouflage for your crew. You know, you want to be able to dress them up too.
That way, you guys are hiding in the forest, recording some people.
yeah, you just buy camouflage for everybody and like,
Okay.
quick, quick,
Also,
quick,
like
go,
acting training so they can act more like animals. Like, you know, that's how you do it.
Just
Like,
get them
know-
all animal
and then they'll
costumes.
just think you're a crazy, creepy cult in the woods, and you'll be fine.
That's
Exactly.
funny. Oh, I once had a cheetah, a full body cheetah costume. I'm so sad I don't have it anymore. That was great.
Be in the
It's
jungle.
like
Full body cheetah costume?
full body.
Are
Like,
we talking like actual costume or slutty cheetah?
no, like pants to the floor, long sleeve shirt all the way to the
Oh.
hood like this.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't think
You can-
that would fool the cops though. I feel like they'd find it weird to have a cheetah in the
Reminds
forest.
me of like Pink Panther.
That
or
can't
something.
move as
It's
fast.
funny. No, that was just high school. In
But-
high school was my costume.
But yeah,
But
no,
one
so
of
the
the tips-
locations is just like it adds shooting days to the whole schedule. Because you have
Because
to-
you guys have to
You have to
remember, it's
set
not
up,
just
like,
the shooting.
half a day
It's
or
the
a day for
setup.
each thing, because you got to think of lighting, you got to think of setting up the actors and blocking them,
You got to
They
think of
think of-
like,
Oh, yeah,
like
no,
you
I
got to be able
realize that.
to
moving
take
all the
up,
people
like,
there and getting them all ready and all the
Yeah.
equipment there and moving all the
That's true. I'm
everybody
just
going
saying
to the
that-
same location, everybody having off to be able to go there with their
make
equipment.
sure when the police officer asks, you do not say, "Oh yeah, we have a lot of shooting days." 'Cause if you're in a forest, that's going to raise alarm.
well, depending
Especially
on where
when
you
you're
are,
in
they'll be
Canada.
fine.
Why would
And
this
depending on what time of the year it is.
Oh, I've done all
But then
sorts
again,
of
you
weird
don't
shit
want
in
to
the
be
forest and never
shooting
gotten caught.
film on shooting season.
Camping
That's
and-
a little.
Hey, Brian.
That's a little risky.
Well,
If it's a big park, you might get in trouble. But if it's like actual,
If it's
like,
open season and you're like, oh, we're shooting, but the
Depends
different
where,
kind of
like-
shooting, you might end up shot.
you wouldn't want to be doing that in like Vancouver or something. There's a lot of cops, but I'm talking like if
Yeah.
you drive like an hour out of town. If you wanted to do like a long shoot, so it's gonna take like 10 hours, and you just go out to like somewhere where it's no people around and there's no names or anything. I mean, how much trouble
But
can
yeah,
you get in?
at the end of the day, that's something we have to account
the
for.
thing
We
is,
have to
they-
account for
like,
people.
It probably wouldn't happen. I'm just saying they could confiscate all of the equipment if you don't have a permit. In
Yeah,
certain
that has
locations,
happened.
They can actually take all the
I've seen
equipment.
that happen in person.
So
Yeah.
that's
So at the
why
end of the day,
I wouldn't really want to do
limit-
it if it was my equipment, but I mean, if anyone else wants to do it theirs, I'll jump in. Sure.
So to recap, because Brent just came in. Hey, Brent. So to recap, try to have as little places as possible for your scene. You don't want more people having to move equipment, people having to move themselves, having to set up everything again in multiple scenes. Limit to as little scenes as possible, places that are easy.
This is just for the writing for a budget. Okay.
Yeah.
It's just for the script that's supposed to be written for a budget, so that you
examples that they gave.
Yes.
Examples that they gave were like filming in a house, filming in a backyard, filming in a shed. Like there
I've seen movies where they do it all where the person's like in a coffin or they're in a closet or whatever, and it's
phone booth where he was
just
in a phone booth the entire time.
Oh yeah, phone booth. He's like basically just there, and then like they show one other location, and that's it.
That's true. Yeah, and you know what? It's like you build that stuff, and you like eventually, like if you get good, you can have a little bit of a budget to rent out a spot or as you go along. I'm thinking maybe not a huge budget, but I mean like a little bit goes a long way. So
Right.
Another thing that they said to avoid
is like the less you have, the more you have to think about. Like if you're not thinking about locations as much, you think more about, okay, how am I going to make this interesting? How am I going to make this guy's bedroom interesting the whole 9 minutes or hour and a half?
Or how am I going to make the dialogue interesting? Because if you don't have a lot of background to work with, if you don't have the set to work with as much, you need to make your dialogue as compelling as possible. You need to make what's going on in the scene, the actions, as compelling as possible.
And that would make the character stand out and be compelling, and you get better at writing the character because you are focusing on that and how to make that interesting.
That's true. That's very true.
And
I feel like in terms of like ideas, like it makes it harder. It makes it even harder because if you have like less budget, you know, not only like do you have fewer places, like, you know, fewer locations you can go to, but also like it's harder to make things happen in your movie. Like it's harder to like special effects and things like that. It's harder to get that done. It's harder to make it like interesting. So you have to kind of limit yourself. Like, you know, have you ever like seen a sci-fi movie or something where like it's kind of like lower budget and you can kind of tell because of like the idea itself, like the idea is something like
one of the people are actually talking about that exact thing.
Like,
they're saying like if it's sci-fi or fantasy, you probably want to stay away from it at the beginning because you're not going to
at least for the most part, unless you're shooting like a crappy zombie movie or a vampire movie.
And you
like
unless it's supposed to be bad, they said it's going to look bad. Like they've seen people try to do, you know, a short film or a film of like a superhero movie when they have a budget of like 5,000 or less, and it just doesn't look good. The character's not compelling because it's just a superhero, and you've seen that on a big budget. So it's like,
and you need a better story. What I'm saying is like it depends. Like if you're trying to compete with a giant budget on something that usually gets shot on a giant budget, it's probably not a very good sell point. If you're going to be shooting those kinds of movies, you want to be shooting something a story that kind of like works with that. Right, it's like documentaries are small.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, they say for your first few scripts, the main point that he was saying is try to stay away from fantasy time periods and sci-fi, because those you have costumes, you have makeup, you have a higher budget, you need locations, you need props. So there's a lot that goes into it. And if you're shooting for a micro budget, your first script, if you're shooting for a micro budget, try to avoid those, because at the end of the day, your first script is not supposed to be like the first thing you shoot. They don't expect it to be something incredible, something amazing, but it needs to be more character driven. And then once you sell that and once you make that, you get more recognition, you get a bigger budget, you get more people interested in your work. And then you get to shoot the bigger scripts that you want, the more fantasy elements or the more historical elements. They're not saying it's impossible, but they're saying like, let's be realistic to your budget. You don't want to go all out on a fantasy epic or on a period epic your first time, and then it turn out crap, and then that's the first thing you put out.
Because they were also talking about how like if you're making a lower budget film, even those guys, he was talking about Blair Witch Project. He was saying like how those guys had, you know, it was very successful. And so you're like, oh, that guy probably made so much money. But in reality, he was probably shopping around for so long, trying to get it to sell. And also they had to like up the production value of it to put it in theaters. to the point where he probably wasn't even making as much as you'd think. Like he was probably making.
He wasn't. That was the thing.
He might
They
have been
actually
breaking
talked about
even,
it.
or he might have been having like a little bit of money, but it's definitely not like when you hear a huge amount of money, it's not all pocketed because they're probably spending a lot of money trying to get it in those theaters and trying to get those distribution deals.
Like a lot of the independent films that we see at Sundance and stuff like that, they're not the person's first film ever unless they have connections, unless they have a bigger budget and stuff like that. And most of them are like their second film or their theatrical debut, but before they did a bunch of shorts, that kind of thing, you know? So the thing that they're saying is just be realistic to that. It's okay if you want to make it down the line, write that script, have that script ready, because after you do that short, people might come to you like, hey, I thought this was cool. Hey, I liked your writing style. What else do you got? And then you show them that, but just keep that in mind for your first script. Don't try to go super crazy with the fantasy or special effects or history, because at the end of the day, you want your first masterpiece, your first thing out there to be more about the characters and about the writing, because that's what your budget allows.
Or
and
the
that will
cinematography,
Yeah.
how you shot it and how
Yeah.
it flows. You want it to
definitely.
be more about that than about like cool.
If
Well, I
you
got tons of
Because
ideas.
any Hollywood movie can make a fantasy epic. What's going to make your story stand out are the characters, the cinematography, the vision you have for it, not necessarily the vibe of it. The I don't know the word, but you guys know what I mean. Concept. Yes, thank you.
The thing is,
Yeah.
if you spend all your money on the first project, everyone loves it. Everyone's going to expect that much from you. You're not going to be able to produce that second budget of the
Well,
same
the other
amount.
thing about that is like sometimes I've heard stories where people spend so much money on their first project and it doesn't go anywhere. And then everyone's like, oh, he spent $300,000 on that. I'm not going to even try to go near him because he doesn't know what he's doing with his money. You know?
Like The Room.
Yeah. And nobody ever let him try to do anything ever again because he spent so much
This looks so bad.
money.
You know what? I thought the room was actually kind of funny. It just
It's
I
so
had a-
dumb, it's funny.
It's funny
well-
about how bad it is, but the problem
Yeah.
is that he was trying to make it good, and that's why.
Oh, he made a few
this
more
is an
movies. I
intentionally
remember
trying to
that,
be
but
bad.
like none of them were successful because like, oh, it's like, how do I explain? He self-financed all of his own stuff. Yeah,
That's what I'm
exactly.
saying. He did it himself. Like nobody else was
Just
going to
like-
finance him because they saw his first project and he spent so much money, and he still didn't make a good movie.
But
So
like I
would
liked it
give
because
him-
one, I watched it with my family, which is even funnier because you know all the blood out scenes, right? So I mean, my mom for this, I'm just like, what is this there? I'm like, because I was watching it for this class I was taking. I'm like, this was recommended that I watch this guy, and then it's like, it's
Oh
really
my.
funny. And then
Did you
And
throw
then-
forks at the TV every time you saw
What the
forks?
heck? What? Do you not come to your teacher and be like, why the heck? Why? Like, what did we do? Did we just or did we just be bad students and you wanted to punish us for something? It's like, I'm making you all you watch The Room.
no, the other reason is because like I've lived a very colorful life, and it just touched, and I was like, that's crazy.
It's the kind
Every
of movie
time
that a lot of people love to hate, and like they find fun
It's
in
one of
it.
It's like rotten, like what was it? My mom told me a few about like these like really bad movies, like I can't remember the name of it, like Tumbling Tomatoes or something. I don't know. I didn't actually
Rotten
watch it.
Tomatoes.
Yeah, I think so. Some of the stupid movies.
They don't.
Just
I don't
funny.
really trust them very much
No,
because you
she's talking
can
about a
tell
movie. Are you
that.
talking about a movie? Or are you talking
Yeah, I
about?
can't remember what it's called. But my mom, like way back in the day, she told me, she's like, "Sarah, this is the dumbest movie you'll ever see." We never actually watched it, but yeah, my mom gave me my film education. We watched so many movies.
I
growing
think the dumbest movie I've ever seen is Kentucky Fried. Some people love that movie. I think it's the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life.
I think
I know I
Super-
kind of like trashed them a little bit, but I thought it was funny, and I just was like, for me, it was just so out of nowhere. I wasn't expecting that, you know.
It to be that bad. Like he just
No,
goes in the flower shop. Hello, goodbye.
I actually found it actually like, because I have a thing for like weird art. I found it like oddly interesting, just like almost as it was a stylistic choice. to have the
Yeah,
character
that's
be
probably what he
so.
tells people when they ask, like, what the heck, man? Oh, it was a stylistic choice.
No, but I think he could actually roll with that. Like that's the first one, but like that character couldn't written right. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just like it had good points. It just didn't all
I don't
fit
know.
together.
The writing was
Interesting concept.
I want
Yeah,
to
that's
see
what I mean, like,
someone.
yeah.
That's a that's a fun concept. I want to see somebody do a YouTube video reading the lines of the room in actual dramatic form, like serious. Like see if they can actually make it
I'm
sound.
writing this down as we speak. I'm writing
Tommy
this
was.
down.
I know. I kind of like.
5 different
Make the
versions
room
now.
a hit.
Tommy was.
They're like, see, all it needed was me as a good actor.
I
Or
did not
mediocre
talk. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark.
Yeah, right.
That was a good like recreation, I will say. That was good.
I thought it was funny.
Hi, Matt. This is creepy and weird. Like what you said.
So the last thing on the budgeting thing that they were all saying was
I can't believe it was.
try to make some scenes in your script for our budget. Try to make the scenes easier on the actors. And what I mean by that is like they said, don't make it too, because you have these professional actors that can do these really crazy emotional scenes. And then you have like the lower budget indie film. Sometimes they're just volunteers or sometimes they get paid.
They're new actors. They're coming from a theatrical theater a lot, which is a lot of the actors you're going to get are coming from theater, they say. So
or they
like,
haven't taken any like acting classes or anything. So they're not exactly, they don't know
the kind
like
of
the same scene over and over and over again. Because in film, you need to like, you need to hit the point, you need to do it, and then you need to do it the same again and again. So when the camera's at a different point, they see you moving the same way so that it can cut together really smoothly, and editing is a lot easier.
It's just not a style they're used to. He didn't say like, oh, they're going to be worse. They just said like, they're going to be different. They're not going to be used to it as much. And it will, these kinds of, like you come across every now and then these actors that are just naturally incredible and amazing, but acting takes work, a lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of experience. So if you're shooting a smaller movie, you are going to come across a lot of actors that are either new or more used to the theater, which is a more dramatized type of acting, or that are like rookies trying to get in, or people who have some experience but are moderate, So make good scenes, but don't make incredibly like super dramatic scenes that you need to, because for example, a theatrical actor.
Because even professional actors struggle with those sometimes, like depending on what the scene is, like if it's a really emotional scene or if it's a scene. That's why whenever those actors get those big, huge parts where they're like one character right now, and then once you see the next scene, they're like different character, like they're bipolar, because that's really hard to do and jump in and out of. So they're saying like you don't really want to make that for like a lower budget, because the actors you get probably won't be able to accomplish what they want, and it'll make them look worse, and it'll make your whole movie look worse. So
yeah, because if even professional actors have a hard time with it, you want an actor, for example, that's used to theater and just used to like going through one big scene, to be forced to like get into that mental space in and out, and then into another mental space the next scene. Like that's a lot, and not even the most professional actors can do that well. So they're saying like, take it easy on your actors at first, basically. Give them room to grow, give them room to breathe.
Make some good characters, but don't make them have to do like anything too crazy, emotional, or because like it's probably not going to come out that well.
That's true.
And it depends. Like if you have a resource and that somebody or like are good at acting and they can pull it off, then you have that resource, and that's one of those resources you already have, where you can be like, well, I'm writing this part for Sarah, or I'll have Sarah do this role, so I know she can pull this off, and I'll write it.
Like he gave an example of
if it's going to be someone else that I don't know, then I can't just assume they're going to know how to do it, whatever I'm trying to get them to do.
Yeah, he gave an example of a kid that was incredible, Brent said I could pull it off. I could cry on the spot.
It's not just
Yeah.
about crying. It's just about anything that's like difficult to do in acting with the
Yeah, but not every actor can do that, for example. So like, and it takes time to do that. So yeah,
especially in a
tricky.
theater scene, you're used to reacting to someone else, and in a film, you might not even actually have somebody right here. You just have to pretend like they're there. You have to just look at a pole with like a ball on top of it, and that's the person, and you have to like act off of them, even though they're not really doing anything to give you anything to react to.
Yeah, so they're saying just once you get used to an actor, the more you work with him, you can become more comfortable, and you guys can work together on harder stuff. He gave an example of a kid that was immensely talented, and he worked with him for a while, so he gave an incredible performance, and he went on to like do Hollywood movies and be very successful. But that comes very rarely, that you can find an actor like that you are comfortable working with, that is just naturally, that talented. But at the end of the day, we have to, it's not anything bad. Like, we're not saying like, oh, they're probably going to be crap. No, we're just saying we're all new at this. So let's try to be realistic with each other and give each other and build on each other. Start slow and build up, get better every time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does.
We're not talking about you, Brent. We're not talking about you, Sarah.
I just want to make
if you
sure.
think everyone who's trying to be an actor is good, then go watch some independent films, because you got a lot to learn.
Go watch some mainstream films. I mean, some of them are like,
yes.
Oh, what was I gonna say? There was something.
Like, one of the reasons Bruce Willis in 13 Monkeys, one of the reasons we understood, like, when we watched this, we were like, no wonder. Like, he was having a super hard time going from normal to acting crazy, but not too crazy, to where he actually seems crazy, but rational enough to where we know he's not crazy, but everyone else thinks he is. He couldn't always pull that off in every scene, and it came off really weird. So that was something that we were like, wow, he's a professional. He's a professional actor, and he sucked at that, like, really bad.
Look at Toby McGuire.
Oh, they said like, another thing is like, if anyone has to do an accent, because that's really hard. It takes time, especially if it's a dialect.
Look at Toby McGuire. Perfect example.
Professional actors can't pull that off at all. Well, I mean,
no, professional actors can't. Most professional actors can't.
They also struggle with it. So
one of the few people I know is Renee Zellweger. Like, she was incredible. But like, there's a bunch of people that can pull it off, but it's very, very rare. I'm sorry.
But here's the thing: if depending on what type of show, like movie or show you're filming, you almost would want to see the difference in.
Just to answer like James's comment, because he was talking about how soap operas do not show much of the wealth disparity. I feel like, in my experience, and I've watched a lot, my grandma's obsessed. Brazilian ones are a lot better at that. They're less dramatized than say Mexican ones or Colombian ones. And they, depending, like in Brazil, for example, on Globo, we have a 6 p.m. one, a 7 p.m. one, and a 9 p.m. one. Yes, people, we love soap operas. And the 6 p.m. is a lot more history based. A lot of them are historical. A lot of them are period dramas, or set in a particular time. 7 p.m. are more comedy, and they do show a lot of, and they show more of the poor side than they do the middle class side most of the time. And the 9 p.m. one are more drama. So there are soap operas that actually do show the realities of people living in poverty. It's a lot more romanticized, and it's a lot more, of course, shown, but we are happy people. We're beautiful. So that is an interesting thing to look at and see that through the years, we have gotten better at showing the different aspects of our culture. And that is because through the years, cinema, like filming and equipment, has become cheaper. And that's awesome. Because today we can make movies that we couldn't like 5 years ago. As early as 5 years ago, So that's pretty cool to think about, like how much cheaper cameras are nowadays, how much easier it is to film a really good movie. So that's pretty cool. And that's something we're learning in the book study as well, from seeing like the 5th edition to the 6th edition, how much has changed.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, and I find it makes things kind of like more fun and interesting, but and it's also like goes with, you know, the world always changing and adapting to itself too, right? As technology across the board, like the internet adapts, film adapts, all the other industries slowly adapt. But I find that like anything technology or film based is going to be the fastest to change, just because it's so multimedia and it goes far.
Yeah, and it's like 100 years old.
people.
It's not that old. And now
Yeah.
a budget film in 2021, it would be like a low budget, a low to no budget film. No budget, low budget is actually like what, 100,000, honey, or something like that.
100,000 or less is considered low budget.
Yeah. So like a no budget film today would have been considered a low budget 5 years ago. So that's pretty cool to think about.
It's very interesting.
Yeah. Go ahead, hon.
Does anybody have any questions about like the writing for a budget or anything? It's like this weekend and into next week we'll be writing out third scripts if we have it. Or you guys can write out your second scripts for those who haven't finished their second scripts. Does anyone have any questions about anything about writing for a budget?
Not at this moment. If I do, I'll shoot it in the group.
Mm-hmm. All right. So then the other thing we were going to talk about is just like any films you guys know that have a good concept, but they were poorly executed. They didn't turn out well, even though they had the potential to be good, but they didn't, because either the acting or just the editing or something just messed everything up and made it crap.
Besides The Room?
The Room, I don't know if that had a good concept though, because what was the concept?
I don't even know. Does anyone know what the concept of The Room was?
Did it have good potential?
Oh, it was like
it was
something
mediocre
like love
potential,
affairs or something. Like I don't even know.
Love
It's something
affairs?
like
right,
I
but
don't know.
that's like
it was something with that.
Common, so it's like, is that even that good of a concept? Or is
Yeah,
that just kind of like a mediocre? So,
Love affairs are a pretty common one, I feel like.
yeah.
I'm gonna say one that like you guys are probably gonna make fun of me, but I don't care. I grew up with I don't like Twilight. I don't. And my brother loves it for some reason. My older brother, he used to make me watch it. But I thought the idea for the host was actually really compelling once you remove all the teenage BS. Oh, and of course the crazy age difference in the book. Basically, the idea of it was, I remember watching it with my friends. That's how lame we were. But I remember thinking that was a really cool concept. It was basically about these aliens who came to Earth, and they started because they had nowhere to go and they needed a new planet or something like that. I don't remember it completely, but something like that. And they started inhabiting the bodies of humans, and they basically turned Earth into a utopia. There was no more war. There were no illnesses. There was no famine or poverty. They started creating a perfect world. But they created a perfect world by basically invading people's bodies and taking them over. So there was a resistance against that. And it was just a really interesting concept to me because it was basically a peaceful invasion. And arguably it made the planet better. So I just thought it was a cool idea that would have gone so far if it hadn't had the teenage love triangle, stupid Twilightisms. You know, I just thought that was a cool idea. I always love alien movies that actually make me think and that don't just show them as like big baddies who come and explode things and then for some magical reason we defeat them because America and all that. So, or because humanity is so amazing. Or because humanity is so amazing and better than every other creation of the universe ever for some reason.
Right.
I like to think about it as like if there's ever like a really improbable outcome, I like to think of it as like, oh, it was really improbable, but they just showed us like the one outcome that was like the really improbable outcome, but they just showed us that, and that was the book. Because like technically that's the only way you can explain it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I do like the idea that
You're
they
not
put.
seeing all the ones that failed. You're just seeing.
Yeah, exactly. Not looking at the ones where, like, you know, I'm trying to think of a non-spoiler one that I can laugh about, but I don't know. You know, you're not thinking about the ones where, like, I don't know enough about Twilight to make a joke about it. Wait, you make a joke, because I don't know enough about Twilight to make a joke here.
Oh, the only jokes me and my friends would make was like the fairy joke because he would sparkle, and the joke about like the end scene of the last movie where basically it was a cop out. The entire theater booed. We went in to watch it because we used to watch bad movies for the fun of it. And we would bring like ice cream and we'd be like crapping on the movie. We were those kinds of people. I know we suck, but we were teenagers.
Are you talking about sparkly Batman?
Hey, he is a phenomenal actor. Twilight did not do him justice. Okay, his independent movies are awesome.
Batman.
He's
But
kind of an angry guy in person.
I think he's a really good actor. I've seen a lot of really cool indie films with him.
Yeah,
But
I worked with him, so yeah, I worked on Twilight. So you probably saw me in the movie in the theater.
I don't remember, but I can't see a lot of things. So, but
Also, I
But
looked
yeah,
a lot bigger back
so I think the cool concept and bad execution of the last movie was a bunch of people could have died. It could have been an epic battle sequence. Could have been awesome. It all turned out to be a dream. Everybody hated it, even the fans. So.
Spoiler warning, by the way, guys.
Who needs spoiler warning for Twilight?
Spoiler warning for Twilight.
In case anybody cares.
Twilight 3 or 4.
No, not because it's this long after it was released, because no one cares.
Oh yeah, that's it.
I think Twihards are pretty much dead at this point.
Oh no, they're not. Trust me. I know a few.
Seriously?
I know a few.
Oh goodness gracious. Why?
Anyone else have a movie that you guys thought could have been good, but just they didn't execute it well?
Is asking, can I practice doing monologue and screen time with you guys? Want to practice being on camera?
Sure.
Well,
Yeah, like we were planning on
whenever we talk, like we just kind of go off and say stuff for a while, and that's technically a monologue. So we're all practicing them all the time. So that's all you need to do.
We hope to.
In this meeting, we're all just monologuing.
Hey, I feel like we're having productive conversations. For example, see how I rounded that conversation back to budget?
No, you went off the rails.
Oh, shush. I'm not the only one that does it, but yeah, that was just that. Guys, come on, that was a hard topic for me. Okay, I wouldn't have found a segue this good to talk about it, so I needed to take advantage of it.
All right, well, you talked about it.
Anyway, yes, Brent. You want to do that like through like video or something? What we were talking about is the possibility of maybe, no promises, but maybe us coming down for this summer, eventually either this year or next year, or like end of this year. We don't know, depending on how things work.
I will try to get an internship in Virginia.
Yeah.
Down to where?
Down to New York if we can.
I'm definitely going to come down
during the summer.
What?
I definitely want to come by
Down to New York. You're going all the way around. You're going all the way around the earth.
Oh, just go around in a circle, meeting everybody.
Yeah.
Go over to California, then up to.
We start in New York, work our way up to Atlanta, then California.
This is a technicality. I know people say that.
But anybody remember like a movie you watched or as a kid or as an adult and you were like, man,
gave you guys like a week and a half.
Didn't you guys just talk about like 12 Monkeys being that one? Like
yeah, I did. I said that one's mine.
Thank you.
It was like
I was like, it had a cool concept, and I kept...
Next month, that's not gonna work.
It had a cool concept, but
if anyone wants to go up to Vermont, I will be trapped on a college campus, so I will not be able to see you.
But you let us know when you're free, Colin. We'll come by and we'll bring Star Wars and we'll force you to watch all 6
From a
movies.
distance.
The 6 that actually exist. The other
Yeah,
ones
don't
don't
you-
Yeah,
exist.
6 feet of distance, always, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't you dare
I'll watch
bring
it on your
Star Wars
phone
near
screen.
me.
I'll bring binoculars, you know. That's all I'll do.
It's fine. If I get it again, I'll die. So I'm more cautious about than you guys. But yeah, so seriously, guys, we gave you a week. No movies you guys can think of?
I've already said most of my movies in the past. What's one?
There was like a time travel Disney Channel movie. I can't remember what it was. It was like some like Disney Channel movie that was about time travel, and I remember thinking
Minutemen?
like the concept is really cool.
Minutemen?
Maybe, I'm not sure.
It had a something Daily, the blonde kid with the bushy hair,
It
and
was like they were teenagers. I remember it was teenagers
Yeah.
and it was time travel, and I
I
don't
know which
remember
movie you're
what.
talking about. I'm a
Right
Disney
away.
Channel baby.
You got excited about that.
I've
Let me
watched
see.
every
I'll look it
Disney
up, I'll
Channel
look it up.
movie. It was like one of the few things my mom would let me watch because she was like one of those Christian moms that wouldn't let you watch anything because everything was of the devil. So like Disney Channel was one of the few things that I could watch.
Even though that's like
Ironically
most
enough.
evil corporations.
But yeah, Minutemen. I thought that was a cool idea too. It was like they traveled back in time.
I went to
They made like a black hole, right?
I don't remember. I have no memory of this.
Yeah, that's what's hard. You usually don't remember the crappy movies.
Parts, like, I just remember. I like remember images. Like,
I remember it not being a crappy movie, so I think you should shut up, Coda, or I'll make you watch it.
It's a Disney movie. It can't be that good. It's live action.
Honey, have you seen The Color of Friendship? Are you kidding me?
I don't
Disney
know.
Channel
Live
movies can be
action
good.
Disney movies, live action Disney movies, that would be the exception then, I guess, because all the rest.
No, there's that one about
No.
that one with Shia LaBeouf where he's autistic and his sister's like shooting a documentary. That one's beautiful. It makes me cry.
What about like the Freaky Friday? Like some of the Freaky Friday movies, I feel like are kind of like that. You know?
Oh, those are terrible.
I love Freaky Friday.
Yeah, you just love crappy movies. That doesn't mean they're good.
It's a fun movie. Shut up.
Simpsons movie is a good thing of that.
oh my god. Do you remember how they
Wasn't
turned
the Simpsons
7-Elevens?
movie just random?
But no, but do you remember how they turned all the 7-Elevens into like the donut shop?
Yeah, I remember that.
That was hilarious. All to promote the movie. I was like, wow, that's so awesome. I thought it was cool.
I wish they
All I
never.
remember is the Spider Pig. So
Spider Pig does whatever a Spider Pig
I remember
does.
the commercial.
Don't
They
you
played that
Coda.
commercial so often, and I saw it so many times. It's
Coda, you don't
like,
want to start
branded in my
the
brain.
you don't want to start the She Only Likes Crappy Movies. The Buttercream Gang wins every crappy
That
movie I
was
like
old.
ever. So you shut up, okay? You shut up. Coda loves a
All
movie
right,
called
Tommy,
The
you have
Buttercream
any
Gang.
TV shows then?
Coda, the Buttercream
talking
Gang,
about
guys.
TV
Look
shows.
it up. Look it up. Tell
TV
me if
shows that
that's
have a
not
good
the crappiest
concept
movie
at
you've ever
best.
seen in your life.
It doesn't just have to be movies. It could also be TV. Like the overall
Wizards of
concept
Waverly
of a
Place.
TV show would be cool.
Wizards of Waverly Place.
I love
Yeah,
that
that one's
show.
so
It was one of the
good show.
few Disney Channel shows I actually liked.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
It could have been better. It could have.
It could have been way better if it was more mature. It would have been really cool.
Well, that doesn't count. Like,
If it wasn't on Disney, it would have been better.
Yeah.
well, that doesn't count. Like, that's not fair. Like,
Disney
what?
Channel.
No,
Everything's
because it would have
worse
been
when
way
it's for
darker,
kids?
like
That
the
doesn't make
movie,
any
for
sense.
example.
Like,
The movie was on Disney Channel, and it was way darker because like they accidentally wished their parents away. It was way more emotional.
That's
like
not true though, because they made Phil of the Future, and then they had Kyle XY, which could be.
Phil of the Future was a
Phil of the
good
Future
show.
is
Have a good
fun.
night.
Okay, but it's very silly.
no, but like to me, like
But
I
Kyle
know what you mean,
XY
but
is
it's-
kind of in the same zone as that, so it's kind of like
Not
that.
really. Kyle XY is an alien. Phil is a man of the future.
It's basically the same thing.
No, it's not.
The
What
way
were we
they
saying,
did
Colin?
it was basically the same thing.
Oh, I was just gonna say that I feel like it doesn't like if we start like talking about like shows are worse when like the moral messages they like impart are like simpler. Like I feel like that's kind of just like subjective and doesn't have to do with the actual show. That's just kind of like like because I mean maybe we could say like cliche wise they're like cliche, but I still feel like as long as like the morals are like morals, and maybe they're not as cliche as like just literally like follow your dreams every episode. And I think it's fine.
I don't think that that's what makes it a good concept about execution, though. I feel like I'm okay with, for example, a Disney Channel show being a little cliche, but having a cool and fun concept.
That's what I'm saying.
Like,
Yeah.
I love Zach and
That's
Cody,
what he's
and they're
saying.
super cliche, but I love it. It's so much fun to me.
I was just about to mention that. That's
I
crazy.
always remember, I
Holy
always
crap, you-
remember that episode, the Christmas episode, where they have that woman gives birth in the elevator, and there's like no blood, there's nothing,
What?
and it just comes out, and I'm like, aw, when I was a kid, I didn't know how that worked. Like, that would not have been like that. But yeah, shows like that can be sweet and good, and be corny. But there are shows. I think Smallville is a good example. Like, after a few seasons, it went to the crapper.
Yep. That's the show I mentioned last time.
Yep. Dexter, it went to the crapper.
Oh, Dexter, yeah, at the end.
Dexter's Laboratory did that too.
Oh, Brent,
Brent.
Aquarius, never heard of it. Never heard of Aquarius. Sorry, just saw it now, Brent. But yeah, so those are good. Those are shows that
Sonic
like
movie.
ended terribly. Oh,
You think the Sonic movie was a good concept, or just?
I think it could have been a good concept. Like, if they did it animated,
Yeah.
live
Yo,
action.
Priscilla,
huh.
What about the
you
Super
are not
Mario
Brazilian.
Brothers?
You're not Brazilian. I went on Google, looked up 2 Brazilian movies, and put it in a group chat. And you're like, oh, I don't know that. I don't know that. And these are new Brazilian movies that I just got off of the
They're
website.
new. Of course, I don't know them. I don't know any new movies.
You're not
I
a
only know
real
the-
Brazilian. That means you're not. I even got one from 2012.
All right. Well, I don't watch a lot. Like, okay,
You don't practice.
Jeez,
You don't
that's
watch your
mean.
culture. You don't watch.
I watch my culture. I just know we have a lot of stupid
You're
movies, so
not
I only watch the good
Brazilian.
ones.
That's like anybody
Hold
asks me
it.
if I see Shatas.
Do you watch
Of course
every
I
single
see
movie of
Shatas.
your culture, Brent?
Yes, I
Do you
do.
watch every single American movie ever made, Brent?
Not every American.
You want
But I make sure
you want to flip
Possible.
it back on me?
I make
You don't
sure I
watch
look
every
at my
single
culture
movie ever
movies.
made in America. Why do I have to
No,
watch every single
you did.
Brazilian movie ever made?
Lakota,
Interesting.
I willfully picked 2 Brazilian movies, and she's like, I don't know that. What is that?
Okay, I'm gonna pick 2 random American movies, and then you're good. If you don't know them, you're not American, okay?
What?
I'm not American.
This is the test.
I'm a,
Man, that's
I'm-
okay. I'll pick
I'm a
Trinidad
foreigner.
movies.
Okay.
2
Even
movies
if
made in Trinidad. If you don't know them, you're not whatever it's called, Trinidadian, whatever it's.
even if you
Trinidadian.
all of it right, all you did from the moment you were born is watch movies, you still probably wouldn't watch every movie ever made.
Nope, definitely not. Probably take like 5
Yeah.
lifetimes for real.
There's
Uh-huh.
so much
Yeah, it's
content.
gonna
And
take
we
a
have a
long
lot of
time.
movies.
And it's just
But-
exponentially
Yeah.
growing bigger every day.
Yeah, but
Exactly.
You
So what are
basically,
you gonna do?
you know what's the
Have
new
you
movies
seen my
out
DVD
though.
collection, Brent? I haven't even watched all of these yet.
Oh Lord, I know, but I need you to be current with the times, okay, Priscilla? Wow,
Okay.
that's a lot. I'm just messing with you, Priscilla. I
Mhm.
did that on purpose. I was like, damn, she don't know these movies.
Don't put my Brazilianism into question, okay?
What's up, Collins? How you been, man? Collins,
Good.
you're gonna be close. You're gonna be close to me, man. Vermont
What?
is not that far.
What? Wait, where are you?
Well, I'm in New Jersey, but I'm in Brooklyn, but I work in Brooklyn, so it's not that far. Not that far.
Right. Well, I'm still in LA, so.
I have another question for you guys. If you guys are having a hard time with good concept, bad execution, or we ran out of good concept, bad execution, what's a show or movie that you didn't expect to like, that was crappy, but the execution and the concept brought you in?
Charmed.
The rum? No, I'm kidding.
Really? No, for real. Like, I love
Charmed,
Charmed,
for
but
real.
I can admit it's crappy as heck.
It was crap, and then I started looking at it, and I got enthralled in it. I was like, hold on, it's not that bad.
Yeah. Especially the final seasons with like the storyline with the brothers and stuff. Man, I wanted more of that. You're talking about the original
I
or the
thought of
remake?
one just now. I remember like Enchanted. I think that movie is really good, and I like didn't expect to really like it, but I really liked it.
What was it called?
Which one?
Enchanted.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh, Enchanted.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is that a movie or a TV show? I can't remember.
it's a movie.
Tommy said the
That's what I
100 on
thought. I thought
Netflix.
Enchanted
Yeah,
was
that's
a
a
movie.
really cool concept. I couldn't get into it.
I've worked on the 100.
Really?
Oh, cool.
Yep.
Awesome.
Oh, what did you do?
It's cool stuff. First aid craft service.
James said,
Fast.
I highly thought Haunting of Hill House was going to be ass when I first saw the trailer.
That sounds
Oh
like
yeah.
Coda doesn't like it because he thinks it's too slow paced. I love it.
yeah.
Blind
Well, what
Manor,
about
I thought Blind
Legacies?
Manor was going to suck.
I have to say Wonder Woman.
Don't
The
you
original?
dare.
was good that you thought.
Don't you dare.
I thought it was gonna be
get it.
crappy.
What?
Yeah, a lot of people did. A lot of people did.
No.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Like expectations is weird. I like. Does anyone
Never
ever
has
go
before,
into a
so why
movie?
would you think it would this time? Yeah.
What about Legacy?
Legacy is like the Vampire Diaries spinoff.
I'm not
Oh, I
sure,
love
but
that.
vampire,
Because that's a movie
werewolves,
I
and
did.
witches.
The actor's hot.
I didn't expect to like the Vampire Diaries. My friend made me watch it because she was like, "Watch it with me," and I was like, "Well," no." And so I started watching it. I got so into it. Like the lore is so interesting. I hate the romance parts, but like the lore and the magical elements is so cool. I got so into it. Sorry, Sarah. What were you saying?
Oh, I love the Vampire Diaries too. I mean, like a lot of it is kind of like
Legacy.
fluff. It's not like but it's like it's a fun show to watch, and I really
Falling
like the
Skies
dark
for me.
elements
I
of it.
thought I wasn't gonna like that.
Yeah, it's a show that I made him watch. It was on the Sci-Fi Channel, I think. It's called Falling Skies. It's a low-budget sci-fi TV show.
Yeah.
But it's
I thought I was
so
gonna be like, nope, this sucks. But I actually liked it.
it's so good.
So far, anyway.
Except for the last season. Last
I
season's
don't know.
kind of
Do you
ass.
guys, do you guys, when you watch a movie, do you go in with expectations before you watch it,
No.
or do you just?
Depends on the movie.
Yeah.
Most of the time I don't. I watch the trailer or at least read the synopsis to see if I'm even interested in it because I don't know. It's more about wasting time to me than anything else. It's like I don't want to
Right.
waste 2 hours of my day if it's gonna be something that I don't even like. So I want to try
Raphael
to
said yeah as well.
might like it
he
before I
does.
go into it.
But to answer Sarah's question, Sarah, I feel like some movies, just like what Daniel was saying, it depends. But for the most part, I don't want to go in with that expectation and I'm going to ruin it. So the first problem or the first blooper I see in it, I'm going to just get turned off and then I might miss out. You know, that might have just been the first couple of things. You know, you start noticing little things like, oh, nobody ate food, but they're at the dinner table talking. And nobody's eating or drinking. They're just having dialogue. And they're like, yo, come on. So none of y'all gonna eat the food? That's not real.
This is so
things like
referencing
that.
all the time. Like they're not eating all of that food.
I have to say, with my favorite movie of all time, I didn't expect it to like it as much as I do now.
Pay it
That was-
forward?
What is it, Papa Smurf and Smurfettes?
No,
Oh my god,
I'm not into that lore like you.
that gives me also some weird jokes. And I'm like,
No,
fucking
pay
think of it.
it forward.
Oh my
Right? That's the one.
Yeah.
god.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sarah, I watched all of them. I watched the originals. I watched the Vampire Diaries. I watched Legacies. I'm a total nerd.
That's Smurf.
Yeah, Smash your favorite movie.
Smurfism.
Oh god, Smurfs just like
Smurfs.
opens the door to so many bad jokes.
That's a movie I thought was gonna be decent, but sucked so bad. Because I remember loving the Smurfs as a kid. Oh, have you guys watched the Mortal Kombat trailer? That's one that we
The
were
new
like
one, it actually looks
expecting.
pretty good. Yeah.
We were expecting it to be garbage. We were like, we're just gonna watch this because we love Mortal Kombat, but it's probably gonna be crap. And then we saw the trailer, and the trailer actually looks half decent. And I'm starting to get excited. I'm scared.
Is it
Oh
a
yeah, I
problem
know.
that
I get
some
so excited when it's gonna be a
Expectations
good
going
movie.
up.
yeah?
I
Is it a
forgot
problem
what-
that some of these
Sorry, Brent. Go
coming to
ahead.
America? What about coming to America? What are your guys' thoughts on that?
I remember that movie being good. I watched it when I was a kid, though,
No,
so
I'm
I don't
talking about the
remember a
new
lot.
one.
Oh, I
The new
haven't seen
one
the
that's
new
coming
one.
out. You seen the trailer? Like,
No.
what do you, like some people are gonna say like, oh, it's been too long. Just like what they did with Bad Boys. It was like too long. People were skeptical about it being, like a flop, but I thought Bad Boys 2 was okay.
There's so many good movies and stories and stuff like that. I don't even think like if you watch a bad movie, I mean it's still useful in a way. So I mean it's all perspective too. So
It depends on the bad movie. There's some bad movies that are like, I just wasted 2 hours of my life.
Yeah, but I mean there's one that I still remember. I was like with one of my friends from like school. She's still my friend, and like we were watching this really bad romance. My mom likes romance a lot, so we watched like quite a few for a while.
My mom likes so dramatic romances, the ones that depress you at the end. She's like, we have to.
Oh, those ones.
Yeah. Oh God.
That's hilarious. But this one was so bad just because like it was just like overdone in the wrong pose. When it's like something's like drawn out a little bit too much or made too over dramatic, where it shouldn't be. Just so like what's it called, cheese balled.
Oh yeah.
Just like yeah, it was like that. But I still remember it, and that's now I see it as like what to avoid.
Is the 100 still good, Tommy? Because I started watching it and I thought the concept was really cool, but I got bored after a while.
Yeah, it's definitely slow, but I mean it picks up, and in all honesty, now it's at a point where you don't even know what's going on. Like if you look at it now compared to like the beginning,
it went full of Riverdale.
And yeah, basically.
Have you seen the Riverdale cringe compilations on YouTube?
No, send me
Riverdale,
one. Like the entire show is cringe. Like you can watch a whole episode.
Riverdale's a good show.
Have you passed season 2 yet?
Of Riverdale?
If you haven't, no, Sarah, because she's like, Riverdale's a good show. I'm like, have you passed season 200?
Dang.
Okay.
Sorry,
I mean,
all
to each
opinions
their
are
own.
allowed. I don't mean to diminish your opinion.
No, it's just, I mean, it's fun. It's fun. Like, it's crazy.
What is?
It's Riverdale, like, it's crazy, but it's fun. I can see how it can be fun.
I like Riverdale a lot. It's a really cool show. Yeah.
Try not to laugh, Colin.
Pilot for it.
No.
Huh?
I worked on the pilot for that show.
I worked on that show, like in first aid, craft service again, but still, so cool. I think it's a cool show.
But you're still sticking with it, Tommy, the 100, or are you giving up?
I've been sticking with it. I'm not gonna lie. I've been watching Blacklist though. Blacklist has been one of my favorites.
It's so good. It's
good, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I've been watching that as well.
Watch Blacklist, guys. It's awesome.
It is. If you haven't seen it, get on the Reddington wave.
Where's
I
it
know
on Blacklist?
You know what creeps me out? Have you guys ever seen Buffy? Like Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
Oh my God, so corny.
I know, but I kind of love that show. Like it's one of those.
Lakota is so right. You love corny shows.
That's what I'm saying.
You can't be in this group.
I grew up with them. Okay?
Priscilla, you can't be in this group.
No, I like good concepts. Okay,
shows.
Buffy and Charmed are corny as hell, but they have awesome concepts. Okay, so you like Charmed, you can't talk. Anyway, what I'm saying is what I remember is like there's this scene in the first episode of Buffy where it's talking about Red Reddington, the actor, the name of the actor, I forgot his name, because I always remember him as the voice of Ultron now.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, but I remember a scene in Buffy where they're talking about how hot he is, and it just kind of weirds me out watching Blacklist now. It's like, man, I would he's such a babe, and I'm like, ooh, okay. I mean, he is charming, but yeah, guys, Blacklist, watch it. It's a really cool. If you don't like procedurals, if that's not your thing, but I'm not spoiling it. It's literally the first episode of Buffy. He gets old. That's the spoiler. He gets old. Surprise! From 1980 to now.
So I just watched Mortal Kombat trailer.
It's good, right?
It looks
no, I was just gonna say that's a real question. Like in the past, if the movie takes place in the past, is it technically even a spoiler to say anything about it? I mean,
right?
It's
that's
all
hard, right? Because you're like, if it's been around that long, can you spoil it?
Yes,
But then
you
again,
No, if it takes
There's
place
still
in the
people who
past,
are
is it
coming to
if
it
like
now.
it's set in the past?
oh, like if it's a
College.
period drama.
Do not be the voice of reason.
It's based on historical accuracy too.
I'm just saying nonsensical things.
No, I mean, I kind of get it. For example, we watched this Christian movie that was everyone supposedly knew the story of like his first dead wife.
Where's the
Coda
Brazilian
didn't know.
Christian movie?
No.
No, Brazilian Christian movies suck. But no, they don't. Brazilian Christian soap operas have amazing cinematography. The one about David, they dubbed
Yes,
it in
I
English.
agree.
It is incredible. It is.
I love when they say Alejandro.
Okay, now you're just annoying me. But seriously, the David one, they translated it to English. It's very good. But yeah, I'll shut up now about Brazilian things because Coda's like, shut up about Brazilian.
It's only been like an hour. Don't worry.
Yeah, like 40 minutes we're talking about Brazil.
All right. What about you, Raphael? Any shows that you like that aren't Disney Channel that you like and didn't think you'd like?
Not, I don't really have an example of that, but I just remembered like this YouTuber that I used to watch his videos a long time ago, but Brandon Tenold on YouTube reviews like a lot of really old like B movies, and there's a ton of examples of like really bad movies, like bad jobs in general. Like
Brandon what?
Tenold, Tenold.
I'll look it up.
Like really bad acting and like really just all kinds of mess.
Oh yeah. Some people like watching those movies too. Like,
Yeah.
they just love
I
watching
find
it for how bad it is.
They still
Even
make
like-
money. I mean, people love them B movies still. They really do.
It's
It's
true,
fun
like,
watching
here's the
him
thing,
make fun of the
you
like
wouldn't-
each and every scene.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have
We do would be considered a
a
B movie
movie.
that I like.
What you said, Sarah?
you wouldn't have A movies if you wouldn't have A movies if B movies didn't exist.
Yeah, you would.
It's
You just have they'd just be called movies.
Yeah, well, you know, but it's like a judgment on that. What I'm saying is, if somebody went to all that trouble to like create a movie, put the budget in, make money, even if it's not like the best movie you'd ever seen, it's still like creative art. It's like somebody who's got like a painting, they spent like a lot of hours on it. It's not Picasso, but it's still pretty good.
But
I mean,
it's
it's
an
still worth looking
abstract art though.
Huh?
Yeah, I love to
It's
see.
like
but I mean,
Peppery
like,
Then unless
yeah,
it's
it's like
abstract
this-
art though, because then you can just throw some paint on something and say it's the best thing you've ever made.
Right.
There's
Yeah,
this
but
anime movie we watched.
But I
It
love
was
to see-
so
that's
weird.
that point. You're selling a name, right? Like, I don't know. If
Right.
Like, it's on
Okay.
one.
Wait, I have a question though. So is the B movie a B movie? That's my question.
Some of them are not. I
Yes,
think
Yes,
some of them.
yes. No, B
No,
movie's
no,
like
no,
a
no, no. I
B
disagree.
minus movie.
Because some B movies, I feel like they didn't get the proper marketing. That's why they became a B movie,
That's
and it went
true.
straight to DVD.
Yeah, but
And,
I think Colin's talking about the B movie as in
Yeah,
the
no,
one
I'm
with the B.
Sorry, I keep
Actual
going to
B
nonsensical. I'm not actually making
What
sense.
if you watch a
Saying
movie
random things, sorry.
and it's like it speaks to you, like you just fucking love that movie, and even if everyone else doesn't like it for whatever reason, like you like that movie. I don't know. It's
Sarah
like it's
goes through that a lot.
say.
Priscilla goes through that a lot, Sarah.
Oh, did it? That's awesome.
James said, I dare
Yes.
anyone here to
Exactly,
look up
James.
Ant Farm Dick Hole?
That means you've got like what's it called autistic.
What?
Like you're able to just be like, no, this is what I like. I like that. Like I don't care. You guys all
Believe it or not, guys,
I loved it.
believe it or not, our movies are gonna be B movies. Our shorts is gonna be B movies.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
It
Coda,
definitely-
I think you should shut up right now about me liking corny movies, okay? I will pull out the Buttercream Gang, okay?
The buttercream. I don't even know if I like it anymore. I just know.
Uh-huh.
You don't like it.
Yeah.
You don't like it. I'm actually sending a
Mr.
ticket.
Magoo, Mr. Magoo, you really want me
Having a
to?
nostalgic movie is different than just liking everything that sucks.
I like those movies because they're nostalgic. Where is the Buttercream Gang? Okay, now I'm gonna find it. It's in Christian movies somewhere. Honey, you have God's Not Dead? Ew. Okay, let me see. You guys keep talking while I look for it.
Anyway, if we're done with the whole good concept bad execution or the other way around, then I'll just go ahead and show what we're going to do this week, and then we can just talk after the recording's over.
Sounds good. Come, me and Collins gotta go.
All right, guys. So we're gonna start writing our third draft this week of our third scripts. If you guys haven't gotten to your second one, then I guess just skip to this one. We want to, like we said, we're trying to write it for a budget this time, so try to keep all the budgetary things in mind of like keeping the locations low, amount of characters low, make
Question.
it more dynamic characters.
Crap, you have all of the Mr. McGee movies?
And think about how what?
You have all of the Mr. McGee?
No, that's.
I got a question. Priscilla, you're interrupting Lakota from reading the syllabus.
Sorry, go ahead.
Thank you. That wasn't necessarily a question, but I appreciate it.
Quiet on the set.
Quiet on the set. Quiet on the set.
But try to think about like the total budget you want to put into something, and think about what you have available to you that you can make a short film about, and then write out your third script or your second script or whatever script this would be to you. And then
I got a question.
What's up?
So if I want to use my first script to do the budget, I could do that as well?
Yeah. Yeah, if you're still on your first script, you can just incorporate this into that. Anybody who finishes the third script, make sure to post it. Sarah and whoever else posts their second script, we're going to go ahead and read through that this weekend, and we'll put notes like we did last time.
That's Mr. McGee.
No, it's McGee and me. Anyway.
Whatever. He loves this. One, two.
And then on the other side, we're just going to break down our second script. Also break down your first script if you have your first script written out. Try to break it down. And that's pretty much it. We're just going to be doing that. And next week, we'll be giving out the randomly assigned things for your fourth script.
Sounds good.
Pretty much, it's just focus on your writing, focus on breaking down the script, get used to it. Breaking down the script will really help with the scheduling and all that too, because you'll see like.
That's what I'm trying to do is like try to figure out like when thinking about like writing it out, write out a script like post like especially if it's going to be longer or like getting into practice.
What? Sarah?
Hello?
But yeah, anyway, so just it really helps to figure out like how many days it's probably going to take to shoot, and you kind of get more of along the lines of like the budget and how hard it's going to be to capture those things, especially if you have like a complicated shot that you wanted in your script. You'll see how much work that takes the more we get into the other aspects of production and everything like that. So just keep that all in mind.
And just remembering that this is not to disencourage you guys to be like, oh, this is going to be super hard and depressing. This is just to give us a realistic idea of what it takes, of what it will look like, and to prepare us for when we actually do start working on our shorts and stuff.
Yeah.
We don't want you all to quit because like, this is harder than I thought it would be. Yeah, I don't think I can do this.
The Family Channel girl turning into a guy talk.
What?
I'm gonna stop the recording.